All right. Ooh. All right, relax and restore. So tonight's practice is going to be pretty grounding and relaxing. That's the idea. So my suggestion is a couple things. You could lie down or you could sit up. I'm going to start sitting, but we're going to start recline down onto our backs right away. So if you feel like you want to move there already, please move there. And then take a moment to take a couple clearing breaths tonight. Let your shoulders draw down and away from your ears. If you're lying on your back, you could draw your shoulder blades underneath you a little bit. And we're going to take a few minutes with our breath here. So if there's a particular way that you like to breathe, it could be counting with your breath. It could be an Ujjayi breath, or any other way that you like to breathe. Sometimes I think of like what I'm drawing in as I breathe in and what I'm letting go of when I breathe out. But take a few minutes to connect in and do what you need to do to try to get out of your mind and the busyness of your thoughts. Create an intention for your practice tonight and something that can carry forward perhaps into tomorrow or through the weekend. Let's take about 5 more breaths here. If you'd like to bring your hands to your heart as you breathe, if you're sitting up, if you're lying down, placing your hands over the center of your heart. Take these last few breaths into your heart space. And if you're on your seat, then taking a moment to adjust to recline onto your back tonight. And when you're on your back, creating a little bit of movement for yourself. So that might mean your feet on the ground and your knees bent and moving your knees side to side a few times, or bringing your knees up towards your chest and rocking or circling a little bit here. Taking a few breaths in. You can clear it out. If you'd like, if your knees are to your chest and you want to circle your ankles a few times or move your feet a little bit, and even rock your head from side to side, just getting a little bit of movement in your body, different parts of your body here. And if it's comfortable to take your arms overhead, let's give ourselves a full body stretch here, extending your feet forward, And whew, excuse me. Stretching from your fingers to your toes. And bringing your feet back to the floor and as wide as your mat. Let's let our knees fall to one side. And if it's comfortable, opening up your arms here. Now you can pause here. Now my knees are over to the left. So I'm going to take my left foot on top of my right leg, just above my knee, and just see how that feels. But if your knees are over the right, you'll take your right foot on top of your left leg. And if it's too much for your hip, just letting both feet settle to the floor here. A couple big breaths. You can open your arms, give your heart space a little bit more space. And when you're ready, releasing, coming back to the center, and then letting both knees move to the other side. And again, you could place, if your knees are to the right, placing your right foot on top of your left leg. If your knees are to the left, taking your left foot on top of your right leg. Or just letting that go, both feet to the ground. Couple full breaths here. And as you're ready, we'll release. Let's bring ourselves back to the center. And you might want to move your knees from side to side a few times here. You're releasing that out. And then let's bring our right knee towards our chest. To hold the top of your shin, bringing your hands behind your knee, and then flexing your heel towards the ceiling, and then bending your knee, and then extending your heel and bending your knee. And we're going to make a little bit of movement a couple times here since we haven't done anything to stretch out the back of our legs yet. And if you'd like to pause here at any point to extend your leg towards the ceiling, you can, and maybe even make some circles or point and flex your toes a few times. Couple full breaths in, full exhale. And then let's release our knee. Take your hand to the top of your right knee and bring your knee wide and then back to the center. And we'll do that a few times here. Wide and back to the center. And then taking your right foot on top of your left leg, moving your right knee away from you. And you're welcome to stay here or bring your left knee towards your chest, interlacing your hands behind your knee for figure 4. Connecting to your breath. And then let's release that side and give yourself another release here, whatever that might look like. Windshield wiper your knees, full body stretch. You could shake out your feet, extending your legs forward. Excuse me. Whew. And then both feet on the floor again. Let's bring our left knee towards our chest. Hands on top of your shin first. And then take your hands behind your knee and let's straighten and bend. And we'll do this a few times. So extend your heel up, bend your knee. And you can hold here as well and then circle your ankle or point and flex your toes a few times. Couple more breaths. And then let's bend our knee. Take your hand on top of your knee. Knee comes wide to the side and back to the center. Moving with your breath. Boy, oh boy. I didn't realize I was so tired. And then bringing your knee wide again, let's bring our left foot on top of our right leg for figure 4, either keeping your right foot on the ground or bringing your knee towards your chest, connecting to your breath here. And as you're ready, let's release. Let's find another release here, whatever you need to do. Windshield wiper your knees, shake out your feet, full body stretch. Oh, boy, oh boy. Okay, so we're going to come into bound angle. A couple of things, however, if you own a bolster and you want to lie down on the bolster for this one, you can take that option. If not, feet together, knees wide, with yourself lying flat on the ground. Or lying down on the length of your bolster, if you have a bolster. And same thing, feet together, knees wide, just having a little bit of support with your back, a little bit of more of a back bend as well with the bolster underneath you. So we're going to stay here for maybe about 6 to 8 breaths, depending on the length of your breath. Couple more breaths here. And as you're ready, we'll bring ourselves back and another release here, whatever that looks like for you. So we're going to come up from our back. We're going to come into tabletop. If you like the support of a blanket, get yourself set up with a blanket underneath your knees. For those of you that have a bolster, you can have that close by for when we move into child's pose if you like tonight. And tonight's movement through cat and cow, allow yourself to move in a way that, creates space for you. And sometimes when I just want to free flow, I close my eyes and then I just let my body move in a way that feels really good. Hi, buddy. You coming to join me? Come on. And let's make some big circles, or take an arm out to the side, get a little bit of an opening on one side and then the other. You could also extend a leg back, extend your other leg back. And then we will be coming into child's pose as you're ready. So I mentioned before, if you have a bolster, you could take the bolster either across, supporting your head, or lengthwise, bringing the floor a little bit closer. If you don't have a bolster, you can just come to rest with your head on the floor, your forehead on the floor, or creating a pillow with your hands here. Connecting into your breath, breathing into the back of your body, and letting the front of your body soften. as you breathe out. And if your head's on the bolster and you want to switch sides at any point, just turn your head the other direction. And then as you're ready, if you have the bolster beside you, moving it off to the side for now. And we're going to take a little bit of a twist here. So moving your arms to the left. Now you could create a pillow for your head with your left hand, right arm's moving across. So you feel that stretch through the right side of your body. You can rest your head on your left hand or fist, or you can let your left arm release alongside you even. Just a couple more breaths here on this side. Coming back to the center, over to the other side. Breathing into the back of your body, into the left side of your body, and then softening on your exhale. Let your shoulders relax. Any weight in your head relax. And then let's come back to the center and let's rise back to tabletop. And maybe take a moment to arch and round just to bring your spine back into neutral. And then let's extend our right foot back, tuck your toes, press back through your heel, and then rock forward, and then press back. And then rock forward, and then press back. And one more time. And then let's switch sides here. Now, we're going to create a little bit of movement with our hips. So let's extend your left foot, turn your right foot out, and you can, if you have the space, I'm going to move forward a bit here. You could lift your left leg up, keep your hand on the floor or bring your hand to your hip. You could also keep your toes down and open your hip to the side. Okay, so you could be here or leg lifted. And then we'll come back to the center and come to the other side. So either your hands, both hands stay down. You can keep your back foot down or lift up here. And then coming back to the center, back to tabletop where we'll arch and round. Okay, so we're going to come into lizard pose, and I'm going to set this up to face towards the camera. So Placing a cushion or blanket underneath your left knee. I'm going to use my blocks. If you have blocks, you may want to also use those. And stepping your right foot forward. And as you step your right foot forward, walk your foot a bit wider, turn your toes out, and we're going to settle in here. So either bringing your hands higher on the blocks, hands on the floor, or forearms on the blocks. And we're going to hang out here for a little bit of time. So if you need to straighten your leg for a moment and then come back into the pose, please listen to your body and what you need. I'm going to set it back up so I'm facing on my mat. And adjust as you need. So if you lower down to your forearms, you may want to come back up. And we're going to stay here for a bit of time, like I said. So moving if you need to, or making a bit of movement from side to side, or straightening your leg for a moment, and then coming back in. Lots of breath. Another 5 breaths here, perhaps. Now you can stay in the center or take a little bit of a twist towards your front leg, shoulders back. What, buddy? Hi. And then we're going to make our way out. And in that transition, finding what you need here to release from that side. And it might just mean taking a moment to pause or coming into child's pose, or maybe making some movement. And then when you're ready, we're going to come to the second side. And this side can feel very different than the other side. So again, using any support, if you have blocks, bolsters, whatever you need here. And remembering, if you fold in a little bit, you can always lift back up. And again, we'll be here for a little bit of time, using your breath to clear out. And at any point, like I said, you could straighten your leg for a moment, come back in. Hey, what's going on? And take about maybe 5 more breaths here. So coming back to your breath. And if you'd like, you could stay here or turn towards your front leg for a bit of a twist. And let's come back to the center. And again, creating any movement or finding stillness for a few breaths. And if you're in child's pose, maybe coming up to sit back on your heels for a moment. Let's create a little bit of a heart opening. You can clasp your hands behind you, either draw your elbows in or straighten out your arms. And then release. So we're going to continue with some hips. We're going to come right into pigeon pose. And I realize not everybody comes into pigeon. So if you're not coming into pigeon, you'll take a figure 4 again. So you can either recline back or take a seated figure 4. Okay. And if you're taking pigeon, finding one that works for you here, and you can settle as far forward as you like. Connecting to your breath, using some clearing breaths here. Let's take about 5 more breaths on this side. Coming back to your intention, or just allowing your breath to clear out anything that needs to be cleared out. And then as you're ready, we're going to lift up. Finding any type of release that you like. So it could be some movement, it could be child's pose, could be down dog, any movement you need here. And then as you're ready, when you're ready, coming to the other side. Taking your time to settle in here, coming back to your breath. do 5 more breaths here, wherever it is that you are. And taking your time as you're ready, coming on out, creating any movement that you might need. And perhaps sitting back into child's pose to even out both sides. Couple clearing breaths here. And then as you're ready, we're going to make our way up to our seat. So I'm going to offer up a little bit of a back bend. And there's a few ways to do this. So the first way is either with a hard foam block or a bolster. And if you don't have blocks, a block or a bolster, you'll roll up a blanket so it's in like a tube shape. And either with the block or the bolster, you'll place that across your mat. And then you want to have your lower back free so that your sacrum's on the floor. And you also want to have your shoulders free so that they're not resting and jamming up towards your ears. And you may also want a little bit of support underneath your head. So that's with the bolster or a blanket. And if you don't have a bolster, but you have a block, a little less soft, however, take the block so that it's lengthwise, it's kind of following the same shape as your mat. Just kind of where your lower back starts and then towards the tip of your shoulder blades. And then I've got another block underneath my head, but you could also support with a bit of a blanket here. Now, I have a bolster, so I'm going to skip the block tonight and use the bolster. I'm going to hang out here for a little bit of time. And sometimes it can be quite intense in your heart space to breathe super deeply. So just notice how that feels. Breathe in a way that supports you here. Now, keeping your feet on the ground with your knees bent takes a little bit of the back bend out. But if it is comfortable for you, I'd recommend extending your legs, unless this causes some discomfort in your body, of course. And then each exhale, letting yourself let go a little bit more. You might want to deepen your inhale. And again, we're going to be here for a little bit longer. Just about 5 more breaths here. And then to come out of this, a couple ways you can sit up, or you could roll to one side and press yourself up. So just finding a way up that makes sense for you. Now we're going to come to a seated posture. So giving yourself a little bit of height, either with a block or a bolster. Now I'm going to take a wide stride with my legs. If you don't have space, you can have your feet extended forward. And the height will just allow your spine to lift up a bit more naturally without slouching back. And it'll help to lift you upright. So hopefully you eventually might be able to hinge forward a little bit here. Now I'm able to fold in quite a bit, so I'm going to use my bolster as a bit of support to rest my head. But you could also let your chin come towards your chest if you don't have the support of a bolster. And we're going to stay here for a little bit longer. So connecting into your breath and allowing yourself to let go a little bit more. Just maybe about 3 or 4 more breaths here. And taking your time to come back to the center. And as you come up, if your knees are wide, help yourself back to the center. And I'm going to lean back a little bit here and find a little bit of a release. Oh yeah, that was my hip. And a little movement side to side. Okay. So one more. We came into bound angle while we were lying down. So this one will be slightly different because we will be folding forward slightly. So feet together, knees wide, lengthening up slightly here. And again, if you have a bolster support, there's lots of ways to use the bolster. But coming forward and down and letting your head release, rounding in a bit and connecting into your breath here. Just a few more breaths here. As you're ready, we'll lift ourselves back up. And again, finding a release. So that might be extending your legs forward. It might be having your feet on the ground and moving your knees side to side. Okay, so we're going to come to recline back onto our back. And we are going to take either the support of the bolster or a block again. We're going to do a couple inversions with the block or the bolster. So as you come to lie down, let's just start with our knees up towards our chest and rocking a little bit here, or making some big circles. And then bringing your feet to the ground, and either with a block or a bolster. I'm going to use the bolster tonight to lift your hips up and take the support underneath your hips for a supported bridge. So feet on the floor, shoulder blades underneath you. Now, the only thing about the bolster is it's one height. The block, you can switch the height of by turning the bolster or turning the block. And we'll start with connecting into our breath into our belly and feeling the rise and fall of our belly, and maybe even noticing your breath moving up into your heart space and then softening the back of your heart as you breathe out. We're going to spend just maybe about 4 or 5 more breaths here. Really feeling the support of the bolster or block underneath your hips. Now, we'll begin to extend our feet up towards the ceiling. So you can keep the prop underneath you here. Shoulder blades drawing underneath you a bit more. Arms wherever they're comfortable. I always like to circle my ankles a little bit first or move my feet. You don't have to do that. You can if you like. And you can also bend your knees quite a bit more here or extend your legs straight. I'm going to pause here. And if you'd like to also take your arms up and then rest your shoulders back and let your fingers relax, you can also have your arms extended up here. Perhaps closing your eyes. Let's take about 5 more breaths here. Now you're welcome to stay just as you are, or you can bring your feet back down for bridge. I'm going to bring my feet down and then extend my feet forward. If this creates some tension in your lower back, release it out, but it'll also create a nice opening for the front of your body, front of your hips. Breathing into your belly. Now, wherever it is that you are, we're going to bring our feet back. We're going to move our prop from underneath of us and bring our hips back down to the floor. And then any release here. So it could be knees to chest, or extending your legs forward, or moving your knees a few times side to side, whatever you would like here. And then let's bring our knees up for happy baby pose. So knees come wide, and you can actually hold here with your knees wide if you prefer. You can actually bring your feet up with your hands behind your knees. You can reach for your ankles or your feet. And then we'll connect into our breath here. As you're ready, we're going to release that out and find a release for your legs here. Now we're going to take a twist, and we're going to hold the twist. So I'm actually going to twist on my bolster tonight, but you're welcome to bring your hips to one side and then your knees over to the other, and hang out here. We'll be here a little, not as long as some of the other poses, but we're going to be here for a bit of time. If you have a bolster, bringing one hip up to the side and then turning to settle onto that, and then your top knee can maybe move further back for a bit more of a twist in your lower back if you like. And then we're going to take maybe about a minute or so here, minute and a bit. Just a couple more breaths on this side. And taking your time to come back to the center. And if you're on the bolster, you can just turn your body. I'm just going to turn around so I'm facing not away from you. And if you're lying on the ground, bringing your knees up and over to the other side. And settling in and connecting into your breath here. Closing your eyes, perhaps. Allow yourself to let go a little bit more. Giving yourself about 5 more breaths. Now, if you're on your bolster, you can press yourself up. Maybe come to lie back down, and we're going to prepare for Shavasana. So if you have a blanket that you'd like to put on, or a sweater, some socks, get yourself set up in a way that supports you here. And then come to lie down or come to any comfortable place for Shavasana. And you may want to bring your knees up to your chest or take a couple clearing breaths, but getting yourself settled in when you're ready. And once you're settled in and you've given yourself a couple clearing breaths, give yourself permission to just be here, to let go a little bit more. Slowly begin to deepen your breath and make some gentle movements with your body. Take your time to create a big body stretch, or bring your knees up towards your chest, or any other movement, or even come to settle on your side for a few breaths. When you're ready to come up to your seat, come on up to your seat. And let's take a moment to breathe gratitude into our heart. To really honor, to thank ourselves, to acknowledge the time that we take to take care of ourselves in this way. So take a moment to really, really thank yourself for being here and for showing up for your own self-care. And I'd like to thank you for being here as well. Namaste.